Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a Mecha Blood deck. It is of course the ever popular Mono deck. Of course, why wouldn't you run that? So Selene and Mono, of course, are your two big hitters for this entire deck. The Mecha Forge Devil is actually a half decent card. Being able to get those two play points recovered on, say, turn 4 or 5, really important for a deck like this to generate even more followers. Really easy, of course, to buff up things like Mono and Slayen to the max, giving it as many damage points as you want. So Hellblaze, of course, will generate a lot. The Entrancing Blows, of course, generate more as well. Then it's just a matter of the entire package being Sustain, Machina Generation, and Draw Power, which, of course, is your three things. Technolord is your mass removal, and that is basically all he's for. I don't really use it in any other situation, so I'd focus generating Machina followers most of the time with the assembly droids, and the armored bat, which is just a mass summon, along with the gear snake, again another mass summon. I actually wouldn't have been surprised if eventually we see gear snake maybe become a 3-drop just because of how valuable it is, but we'll have to wait and see if that ever happens, since I don't know, I just don't know if they'll ever go that route. But we're going to get right into this and check it out. So the first match here, I believe, is against Dragon, which of course it is. Dragon is an interesting one, to be honest. I don't see a lot of it anymore. Prince of Cocytus is still pretty popular. There is a Jerry deck floating around, which I actually plan on doing a video on. I should have that going up in the next few days if things go to plan, hopefully. It really just depends on what order I decide to make the videos. I've got a good range of decks set up ready to go, ranging from things like Roach to the Jerry Dragon to some different Haven decks to God knows, a bit of everything for you guys coming. So starting off early, we do end up with a pretty decent there, going for the, of course, Goblin, and the Entrancing Blow has pretty much maximum value right here. Getting to remove the 1/3 that could have been an issue long term, and again with the same situation, and of course boosting our Mono up. So she is probably going to be the win condition here. And we've got 2 Mechina followers on board. We do need 7 to trigger Mono. We can get an easy 2 more out of the Mecha Wing, probably even 3 once you count for the Mecha Forge, plus another assembly droid in our hand. So we're going to have some pretty decent generation here, if that's the route we decide to go with it. We also got the armored bat, so we actually have a lot of generation for this deck. So I go for the repair mode, go for that healing, build up our board and just kind of deal face. Really not much issue to do it this way. It worked out pretty okay. I don't even mind leaving up what we did, even if it did let them get the full board. So we just need a good turn here, and the armored bat is about as good as you're going to get. Not too worried about wasting some evos either. So I think at this point in the game, we've had a fair few of these Machina followers destroyed. Maybe not quite enough yet to trigger Mono, but not too hard to get it there. If we take a quick look at Mono here in a minute. 5 already. So we only need 2 out of these to be destroyed, which unfortunately means I can't go for what I would like to do, which would be a just straight up win with Mono. But so I decided to hold off going for the Mono this time, just because I had a pretty decent hand, and I was able to get Mono up to 10, which means with an Evo, once it gets, of course you play its Evo card, it'll actually take it right up to 14 damage. So provided they don't heal or put a ward up, we can just straight win this game next turn. And they still have to deal with our entire board, so definitely good for us. Alright, so they did deal with the entire board. They've gone for a Mecha Wing Angel, and that was the end of their turn. So we've got the Mono for 14 damage to face. No issue at all to win there. And that does, of course, close the game. For our next game, we are up against Portal. Portal seems to be coming out of the woodwork again. Of course, not a surprise. Portal's a still pretty half-decent deck, no matter what variation you're playing. So I decided to hold this hand, mainly because Blood Pact and Unleashed Nightmare are both really good draw options. So we can actually buff our hand up quite a bit with those and get as many followers in as possible early on, which usually I wouldn't focus on too much, but Portal doesn't tend to play on the very fast side, so we do have at least the first couple of turns to really get set up here. Plus we can of course generate a couple of followers, so not too worried. So we're already looking at a pretty amazing hand. Lots of good options. Lots of ways we can actually take this. I don't really have another play though this turn, other than just throwing the Armored Bat to generate more Magina support. We are taking a fair bit of damage, which isn't good. At least Gear Snake is going to solve that problem very quickly. It's just a little bit of a pity I didn't have another card to play with Gear Snake. I mean, I could have went for the Techno instead, but I really need to hold some of those so the Slayers could get full value, since we do have 2 in hand, and I want to be able to use them to their fullest. Plus, the Slayers now are actually going to allow us to max heal, no issue at all, which is great. And our mono must be very close to getting out its trigger set up as well. So there we go. A nice 8 damage, 8 heal. Which turned into, of course, 7 heal because we couldn't heal 8 since we were only at 13. So this Displacer bot does have to take out the 8/8. I'm not sure if I could have went for lethal, actually. No. Maybe not, no. Not with the mono yet. Or maybe no, I couldn't. So initially I thought, oh, I could go for lethal with mono if I buff it a little bit. Sorry, so the Slayer if I buff it a bit, but I forgot I was on turn 7. If I was on turn 8, I actually could have won. The Slayer buff actually, yeah, taking it to 7 and then, of course, attacking would have been fine. Either way, though, I should have just went for the Slayer. It would have been 6 damage to the face. I would have set up for mono, which should be triggerable, and I would have just been able to win the game instead of having to drag this out potentially another turn here, since they're probably going to wipe the board. Not that they had a major chance of winning, unless they, of course, pulled off some crazy Maisha play, but the way they spent their points, it doesn't look like they had that anyway. So all I need to be able to go for, of course, is damaged face now. Leave him at 2 health, and then take the mono next turn. So we're basically 1 turn slower than we need to be because of that misplay, but other than that, still extremely solid and not much of an issue. Being at 20 health, I felt reasonably safe. There wasn't a lot that could really cripple me, other than potentially a crazy Maisha play. The only other problem would be a ward. But Techno Lord, fortunately, can just wipe boards, so it wouldn't really be a big issue. But they did some pretty insane plays there for that turn, getting out a really good board. I'm actually a little sad that this mono is just going to absolutely crush them. So it worked out pretty nicely in our favour this time around. So Mecha Blood actually felt super comfortable to play. I didn't really have any issues playing this deck whatsoever. Of course, if you don't end up getting a decent hand, it can be tricky, but I mean, overall, nearly everything in this deck is just value orientated, generating a lot of cards, and all you really need to do is reach either mono or Slayer when it comes to getting close to lethal. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, do be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You will find the deck list in the description below. Until next time, guys, see ya.